Hello, everybody. It is February 20th, 3:14 here, my time, and we're taking a look at VeChain. If you've been watching our videos recently, we've been talking a lot about VeChain because of how interesting the price action is, and we're constantly pushing towards areas right now where more and more of this quiet time before something major happens is kind of looming, right? So we know exactly where the resistances are that we've been hitting since almost a week ago. Obviously, if we maybe zoom out here a bit, we'll see. I'll explain why I had those lines over here. But we're having almost the same thing here. Whereas since the end of December, beginning of the year, we push up. We find that resistance, come down, make a higher low than the previous one, push up again to the same resistance, make another high, make another downtrend, but it's a higher low compared to the previous one. Then we reach an area where we get very squeezed, right? Very squeezed, and everybody would just wait on who's gonna make that first move, right? In terms of who is it gonna be, the buyers coming in, pushing the price upwards here, or who's gonna let go first, right? Are the sellers are going to drop and then drop below certain critical levels, and then we continue to downtrend. So, and obviously, I guess with VeChain here, we got squeezed up. We pumped above previous highs that we had, went back down to retest, and now we flew, right? And we actually flew, I think, almost, let's see here. Yeah, so almost 90%. So right now, we're reaching the same area we had before, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to mimic the same exact thing, but it's kind of, in terms of us analyzing historically, which is not really that much of it's just, like 2-3 months worth of data. But looking at this right now, obviously, we pumped up, we went down again, pumped all the way up again to the 0.0569, 0.057, went back down again, made a higher low compared to this. And now it looks like, in terms of this resistance line has been significant in terms of, determining where VeChain is going to find that support. And now we're reaching the similar area where we're kind of waiting on some sort of I would say, more of a violent reaction either to the upside or the downside. And that's what we've been trying to analyze, right? So, but when we look at this pattern over here, which is an ascending triangle, telling us, that the sellers are coming in at almost at this range over here, right? Coming at a certain specific range. Every time we hit it, we drop. Every time we hit it, we drop. But compared to where the buyers are coming in, the buyers are coming in at more aggressive rates, right? So progressively, in terms of time, we're having the buyers coming at early times before VeChain continues to go down, which is resulting in higher lows as we move forward. So it's just showing us that sellers are at the same spot, just waiting to sell. Buyers are catching up to them, and we're going to reach an area here where someone has to let go first. But based on this data we're looking at, it's more that the buyers are having a bit more control here, and the buyers are more interested in this trend that we're having. So in terms of the those lines I had here, because I wanted to see, so every time we do uptrend this way, right? We have a major run up where everybody buys in. We have a nice uptrend. We retrace back, but I just want to see in terms of retracement, is this enough of a retracement for us with VeChain? Is this enough of a consolidated action? Because you do have a run up, then after that you play around for a bit. You do have a run up, and then after that you play around for a bit, and actually sometimes downtrend. Same thing over here. So it looks like every time we reach a certain we run up a bit. Well, if we're looking here at our stochastic RSI, the RSI and the MACD, for those who don't know, the RSI is your relative strength index. The stochastic RSI is is just exaggerates the movements of the RSI itself. It's a more sensitive. It's just more for sensitivity to understand when the RSI is actually supposed to downtrend or uptrend, basically, right? And then same thing with your MACD here, just your moving average convergence divergence, and then there's the same one, but it's more weighted, so it's also a bit more sensitive, right? So right now, every time we do have an uptrend, we uptrend all the way to the top. Our stochastic RSI is all the way at the top. Our size is over at the top, also at the overbought regions, and we have a sideways action or a consolidation, I would say, right? Then we also have another run up. We go all the way down, we play around for a bit, then again we push all the way up. Stochastic up top, RSI up top, MACD's up top. We start downtrending down again, have some sort of consolidation. Same thing over here. If you even inverse it, when your stochastic is on the bottom right here, for example, you have a bit of an uptrend, and then you reverse it. Same thing over on this side. Same thing over on this side. Stochastic RSI at top. So you can find this anywhere you look, basically, right? It's just painting a picture of what's forecasted to happen. So now over here, it's pretty clear that as soon as we start hitting, so you start looking at your stochastic at the bottom, you have a nice uptrend, and once we start having the RSI and the stochastic RSI coupled with the MACD over here, all the way up top, right? Compared to, because you need to look at this from a relative perspective, I would say, right? Because right now, how would you know that this is way too overextended? You look at the previous action, right? How would you know that this is way too overextended? You look at the previous action and see where you're at. So with the MACD, you can tell for a fact that compared to everything else, right? If you're here, is literally almost compared to these guys over here, it's pretty overextended. So that's what we're looking at right now. I think VeChain, for the most part, did have its consolidated period, and now right here is where we the buyers actually do need to decide whether we're going to push, break this resistance at the 0.060, continue to uptrend, or the sellers decide that, you know what, this is way too overpriced, we need to drop down again. Now, this is not us saying that this is 100% going to go up, but we're saying that we do have buyers interested in this, especially after this uptrend, especially even when you're consolidating, you're having higher lows as you move up, and now you're getting squeezed up. Just something that, just the price action in itself is interesting. And it does look like we're leaning more towards of a breakout over here. However, what's going on with Bitcoin right now, it is also way too overextended, and it's been almost a month where Bitcoin has been running up. And usually whenever Bitcoin has a drop, regardless of whatever's going on, some certain of these altcoins over here, so for VeChain, whatever other altcoins, regardless of the price action, you also see a drop. So that's something that you should also keep in mind. And obviously, you need to keep in mind what the Bitcoin's price action is 100%, and couple it with whatever's going on with the altcoin you're looking at. And if it does make sense, if Bitcoin's actually looks like it's more bullish, looks like it wants to have a nice uptrend, then if your altcoin is also the same thing, we're looking at pattern where it's expected to actually go up, from a statistical standpoint, then that's a good a bunch of reasons for you to look at either investing or whatever you wanna look at in terms of a long term or a short term. So now it looks like, on the 4-hour chart here, we do have the buyers coming in. Looks like we are trying to, every time we do hit a resistance line, you weaken it. And every time you hit a support line, a bunch of times you also weaken it. So right now, looks like if we're looking at the 4-hour, right, the stochastic RSI is all the way up top. And looks like we do want to downtrend. Now, how much do we want to downtrend? That's the main question we need to look at, right? Because if we're looking at this over here, I see that we are actually hitting this support line. And right now we're seeing that downtrend happen. And for VeChain to actually remain bullish, and for the buyers to show us that, hey, no, we want to drive this price down a bit before we get to the support, we need to see VeChain for a fact making some sort of a higher low over on this side. So maybe this thing here within the next hour and a half is going to close. We'll have it open after we play around for a bit, and we need to see VeChain again try to find support within this region over here. Maybe we'll give it a bit of a leeway, but we don't want to see VeChain drop below the 0.052. I think that's pretty important for us to maintain the uptrend that we're having. So somewhere between the 0.054 and the 0.052 is where VeChain requires to have a higher low for us to continue, or for it to, at least for me and a bunch of other buyers, for it to continue to pique our interest before something major happens here and we actually continue to break this resistance. So RSI is definitely showing us, do you want to go down? The stochastic RSI is all the way in the top. Exactly that same thing we had over here. Our stochastic RSI is all the way up top, and we drop. And typically speaking, with VeChain, we usually drop a good 25% to 30%. Same thing over here. Every time the stochastic RSI is at the top, we do have really nice downtrending, I guess. There's a sale price for it, right? So it depends on how you look at it too, right? Because you can say that, hey, this is, oh, it's actually falling, but for someone else, there's more of a buying opportunity, right? Because VeChain is actually a nice project. Obviously, it has its own things that you need to be careful of, which we should probably make a video about that, to be honest. But in terms of price action only, it does look good at the moment. But with the reasons I told you, you should also keep in mind that anything with Bitcoin that happens, that does affect. And you can, even if you give more reasons here, obviously, we're looking, because we're getting squeezed up for the most part right now. The indicators are kind of a bit, I wouldn't say laggy, but skewed results, because you're getting squeezed. The momentum and the RSI are not really looking at a pattern. The pattern is more visual for more buyers and people and bots, I would say. But the actual indicators themselves, when we reach areas here, they start getting extremely skewed. So that's something to keep in mind too, right? So that's what I'm saying. My point right now is we need VeChain to stay within the range we just talked about. We need to see it go back up here and try to play around again and break above these 0.0599 or 0.060, I guess, is the major. You know what? It's more of a range, something like this, between the 0.06 and the 0.056. That's where we need to continue to play around here for a bit. Otherwise, it's a completely different story for VeChain. So these are, my 2 cents right now. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if you need to see some sort of different analysis or something else to be incorporated in here. And yeah, if you'd like to support us, please press the like button, share, comment, subscribe. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, then please do so. The link is in the description. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the new videos we're going to put out today.